Okay. What's up, guys? Yes. So, it's that time that I have been waiting for. And I'm very excited to do my Apex review. So, this is not going to be a complete review, and it's kind of not going to be a review that is typical. Because I'm not going to do this review as far as it's from its shooting or I guess a marksmanship standpoint. I'm going to do a review from a kind of a design and engineering perspective because that's what I have a background in. Now, before I purchased the Apex, like anybody else, I was a little bit skeptical. I was skeptical because it's a new product. It hasn't been on the market that long, and is it a gimmick or does it have any type of legitimacy? So, after doing about a review for about a week, before I went to my piggy bank and got a few coins to purchase it, a lot of people had good things to say about it, as far as its functionality and going to the range and being able to hit targets at a pretty decent rate from 250 to 300 yards. I think I even seen one review saying that they was successfully hitting targets out to 400 yards. And I was like, that's impressive. And I said, well, let's give it a shot. Now, first of all, let me tell you where I started from. I'm a Glock fanboy. Let's go ahead and get that out of the way. I do have a bias towards Glocks, and that's because they've never let me down as far as its functionality and getting the job done and consistently having a high standard of quality in their products. So my base firearm is a 23, third generation. And even though I know that, we'll be in the fifth or sixth generation now, if I had to get another one, I would still try to find a third generation. I don't know if it's a nostalgia thing or I just like the feel of it, but that's what it is. So I ordered me 23 Apex, and then I thought about it, and I was like, well, being that the economy today and the price of 40 caliber ammunition, I don't know if that might be the most economical thing to do. So I called, and I want to give a shout out to the customer service at Meta Tactical as far as being able to get back with me, open communication, and resolve the problem issue. They did it with a snap of a finger, and they switched my order out from a 23 Apex kit to a 19 Apex kit. That way, even though I can still use my 23 frame, I still can go and have fun at the range at an economical rate with 9mm ammunition. All right, so the first thing that happened was I wasn't for sure if I could use my full 23, and I'm talking about frame, slide, internal parts, everything, and it would work in this Apex. So I had to play around a little bit, and I did a little bit of research online to see what was the difference between the 23 and the 19's dimensions. And what I found is that besides from the internal diameter on the barrels, they're relatively the same. And so I was like, wow, that's going to work out just fine. I thought that I was going to have to get a whole new slide and a whole new barrel. So, not a barrel because, of course, a barrel because of this kit. But I thought I was going to have to make a whole bunch of modifications. So before we continue on this video, let's make sure that we have a safe firearm. And so I want to show you guys, it's pretty much simple. We're going to go ahead and take the clip out. And we're also going to make sure there's not one in the chamber. And, I don't know if you guys, how well versed you are with, the Glock as far as it not having the safety and all that kind of stuff. Well, in all actuality, the Glock has 3 safeties, okay? The first safety is your common sense and, knowing if you, there's one in the chamber or not. And then another safety is the placement of the trigger. So I know you guys can't see it, so I'm going to take it out. All right. So I've already taken the clip out. And so now we're going to go ahead and open up the chassis. And I always like to open up the chassis before I take out the trigger release. Go ahead and get that out of the way. And I'm going to go ahead and take out the Glock from the chassis. All right. And then next we're going to lock the slide back and make sure that we're safe. And we are. All right. So make sure that everything's in frame so you guys can see what I see. So what I did was, like I said, I figured that I could use my 23, just as it is, and just slap the 19 barrel in it, and everything could work okay. But what I found was that there is what some might say a negligible difference between the slide barrel opening circumference of the 23 compared to the 19. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys so you can see. Alrighty, sorry about that. All right, so what you see here is I have a factory 23 slide, and I also have a few barrels and a couple of other accessories. And I kind of want to show you with that the difference in the tolerances between a standard 23 slide and a 19 slide. You're gonna have to take out that muzzle device. All right, put that 19, our ported 19 slide, and we're gonna take out our standard 23 slide. We're gonna take our 23 slide. We're gonna put in our stainless steel guide rod for added redundancy. Okay. I don't know if we got enough lighting. I'm gonna try to give it some more lighting as well. All right, get some more lighting. All right. Hopefully that's a little bit better. So we just want to check the differences in the well, I tell you what, the reason why we're not going to do it because I don't feel like putting this whole I don't feel like completing this whole slide, but the difference is going to be in the diameter in the slide. And as you can see, when I rock it, it's just a little bit of wiggle room. That wiggle room might not make that much big of a difference as far as the barrel and the standard, but you know, whenever you get to modifying and customizing firearms, more oftentimes than not, it's best to try to stick with the recommendations of what the firearm calls for. This is always a little bit tricky. And I'm gonna tell you another thing too. Okay. I'm gonna tell you another thing too. After I put this thing together, I have a few serious recommendations. All right, we got the guide right in there. Now, let's see how much wiggle room it has in a 19. Right. So of course it's a whole lot tighter. So that's why I'm glad I went on ahead and got another slide specifically for the Apex platform. Even though, as far as with my OEM factory 23 slide, I got the standard barrel and also the conversion 9mm barrel when I want to break it down. All right, so we got that in there, and let's go ahead and put it back together. Let's make sure it functions. All right, it's going in the battery good. Where were we at? So once I found out that it was a good idea to go ahead and get a 19 slide to match the 19 barrel, one of the problems that I had when I was trying to insert the firearm into the Apex that I haven't seen a whole lot of videos talking about was that I don't know what I was doing wrong as far as sticking it in. The main thing that they tell you when you're trying to put this in here is that you want to try to line it up to where it fits in square. And I will agree with that. But the only thing about that is, it's a whole lot of internal parts that would always get stuck on me. You see, like it's even getting stuck now. And so my recommendations on taking your whatever type of platform that you're going to be putting in the Apex is that you see what works best for you. Now, whenever it gets stuck like this on me, hold on, guys. Be right back. Whenever it gets stuck like that on me, the simple thing that I do to get it unstuck is just I try to find a pretty hard surface. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this clipboard and just kind of knock it out. Now, what I found is the best thing to do is to lube. Lube. And once I lubed up not only the internal parts of my Glock, slide, and rails, but I also lubed the reciprocating charger as well as the rails inside of the Apex platform. So once I did that, it made life so much easier. And you hear that click, it well, it's a little bit down right there. You gotta get a feel for it. Again, kind of hard surface, bump it out. And you kind of want to, there it is, you gotta hold it. Okay. I didn't have that safety. All right. There it is, and I'm holding it. And it's not going. But the thing is, I know exactly what's wrong with it because I know exactly how it's supposed to fit in. The reason why it wasn't locking is because it has to kind of go in, and probably the best way to do it, it needs to be level, and this slide needs to be level with the apex. And probably the best way to do it is putting it in upside down. So you see how it went a whole lot easier. All right. So we got that in there, and we want to make sure that it's going in the battery and functioning good. So let's go ahead and test it while it's empty. Go ahead and take your safety off, and we're going to go ahead and put our trigger back in. All right. And let's see if it's functioning and going in the battery. Okay, it went all the way back, and so what we got to do is let's go ahead and take the slide lock off. All right, so it's doing something now that I don't quite understand. And the reason why I don't quite understand it, I somewhat understand it, but I don't quite understand it. Now, when I first started playing with this, I didn't know exactly what I was doing that caused this slide to lock all the way back sometimes, but not all the time. And so I kind of know what it is a little bit. So when you are trying to, dry fire to make sure that your firing mechanism is working right, you only want to go about halfway. About right here. Right, halfway. And then I noticed that sometimes, and I don't quite know what the thing is that if you take your charging handle and you go back more than halfway, sometimes it'll lock all the way back, but sometimes it won't. So watch me go all the way back. So you see, and I don't understand it, but that's why it's always good to keep your buttstock out to a certain degree to where you can access your slide lock. But I don't quite understand that yet. That's something I'm still playing with as far as its functionality. Now, as far as getting the best results, I'm going to tell you that as far as your function working right, just lube. And as far if you want to make sure that it goes in the battery and it don't accidentally lock all the way back on you, I recommend only taking this charging handle halfway, unless you want the possibility of the slide locking back. So this is going to be something important, and that's going to be something that, as far from a design perspective and getting back with Meta Tactical from an engineering and design standpoint, that we might want to modify and work on. All right. So, like I said, this video is kind of impromptu, and I'm probably going to have to make at least 10 of these videos, is because I have so much to talk about as far as the platform, what could be possible coming in the future, how this effect that it's going to have on the, the 2A community and the market as a whole, what I'm specifically going to do with my platform. But let's just go over some of the surface items, and I'll talk about all the different modifications I want to do later. So, from a design standpoint, I'm very impressed. And I'm not impressed in regards to this being the final form. Like, if Apex, if they didn't come out with a second generation or a third generation, I would be highly disappointed. And hopefully that once they, see my video or get back in communication with me, they kind of see what I'm talking about as far as, what I think could help improve the design of this platform. Now, what do y'all want? You want your dessert first, or you want the vegetables first? Let's go ahead and get your vegetables first, and let's talk about the bad. And get it out of the way. Alright? So, what's the bad? Let's go ahead and get right on into it. And I don't even care about the bad, because, when it comes to designing something and something new and something kind of different, there's going to be, it's never going to be a perfect product. So as far as, what I'm about to talk about, it's not no dig, or I'm not trying to disparage Metatactical, but you got to understand, before the Model T, the car that kind of revolutionized the American market, there was a Model A, for real. It was Model B, C, and it wasn't until he got all the way to the Model T that he found success. I don't think that it's going to have to be that many versions of this for them to reach a really nice product, but let's go ahead and get to it. So, let's start at the front. Let's see here. I like the, I don't know if it's aluminum or aluminum alloy Picatinny. I don't like this. I don't like this, this grip right here. I don't like it because it's not that thick, I know that you can get different type of modifications and, get your own rubberized grips. But, for bigger people, I felt like they could have, came down about, maybe about a half of an inch on this thickness. And I feel like they could maybe had made a quarter to a half inch on the thickness of the handle. Another thing that they could have did, and they still can do, is I don't like open stuff like this. They can design an insert to go into this, into their forward grip. To you might want to store some Allen wrenches or something in there, whatever. Flash drive, it doesn't matter, but they need an insert for this. And I know that this is used for the platform that you can get for a display stand, but they need to design an insert for this, in my opinion. And they need to thicken it up a little bit. And also, just, it doesn't feel robust enough to me. I think they can put a little bit more work into this forward grip. Let's move on. I don't like this locking block. Now, the design of this locking block itself, I don't have an issue with it, but it needs to be a more robust system. And because this is polymer, I don't know if they could make these aluminum or something stronger, to lock this up. But they need to figure this out. This needs to be super reinforced and stronger, because if you can't get this to lock, or you drop it and it chips off or breaks, the functionality and safety of your firearm just drops by like 99%. Now, I've seen a few videos where people have made their own modification to this locking mechanism down here, and I highly recommend it that you do your own, and which I'm gonna do mine. I forgot his name of the guy that the video I seen where he created his own locking mechanism, so this can be stronger. And then I watched another video where a guy, he dropped his Apex and these little teeth chipped off. So this right here is definitely a engineering flaw that I feel like it can be easily remedied if they, take the necessary research and design steps. What else? This stock release button. This is poor. And it's not poor of the design itself, but this could be aluminum. They could have made this little trigger thing aluminum right here. I don't know how much more it would cost, because this is flimsy. This is terrible. This is another thing that I'm gonna do all these on this version right here, but hopefully in the next generation of the Apex, they can make this more robust. You see all that play right there? And I might have caused this play, on accident when I first got it. I didn't read the instructions, trying to press it down. But it doesn't matter. This needs to be a stronger, this needs to be reinforced. It needs to have some more integrity to it. All right, moving right along. This stock. I like the modular design of it. It's really simple. It's really simple. But again, I feel like that. And I'm thinking of the worst case scenarios. It may have never happened, but I have a tendency to treat my tools like tools, and that they need to be strong. I'm a man, and as men, we like stuff that's that's tolerant to us, and that's why I've always been a truck guy. I remember when I was younger, and my uncle told me, he said, "Son, we're truck guys. Just get you a truck. You can get your car if you want to, but the reason why you always have to have a truck is because they design trucks to be a little bit stronger, because they're trucks. In the same way that they put a little bit more structural integrity into boots more than they do into tennis shoes, because they know that people are going to be a little rugged with them. And so with this stock, even though the design, I don't have a problem with it, they can figure out how to make it stronger for some reason. For some reason, I don't know what they could do. Maybe they can make these rails a little thicker. Maybe they could, make this where the rails go into, maybe aluminum as well. Just this bottom piece. Maybe they could make this aluminum, where these rails go into this whole mechanism right here. I think needs to be strong. They need to put a whole lot more robustness to this area back here. And all these design improvements, I don't think they would be that hard to do. In fact, if it caused production to go up, people like me, I would pay it. for a quality product, especially in today's age with all the what they call it, planned obsolescence, to where they don't make parts quality on purpose, so you have to come back and all that kind of stuff. Me, I like a really good product that I can pay for once and I don't have to keep paying for it. Like they used to make shoes back in the day. You get your pair of shoes and they would be so good. You might have a pair of shoes your whole life. You could keep sending it back to the shoemaker and he would just sew you a new thing on it. But anyway, this whole back here needs to be stronger. Even, let me see, let's look at that right there. Even this right here, I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel comfortable. I think they could make this stronger. And I don't think that it would hurt to make these joints, stronger. And that's going to kind of go into like where I see the design and manufacture firearms going into the future. And one last thing before I talk about the future of firearms research and development, I want to talk about this stock. The reason why I said I actually like this stock, I like the design of it. I just feel like they could make it more stronger and robust. Now, from a modular perspective, what I think would be great for them to maybe think about in the second generation of these Apexes, and whether they do it or not, I'm going to actually modify my own, is to make a little slot in this buttstock. Well, what are you talking about? So, take for instance, I'm out in the field or somewhere, I'm just making up a random scenario, and something happens to where this barrel makes not work right, okay? And the reason why is because, like I said, this is a new company. There's going to be, design flaws, and there's plenty of room for improvement. This might just not function like it's supposed to. It don't mean that this is a bad platform. It's just, it's new, and it's all kind of stuff that might come up. And so in the event that something like that was to happen, I want to still have access to my base platform. And so it would be awesome if you could store your standard barrel and put aside the Apex barrel and go ahead and store your standard barrel in the back of this stock. I actually looked at it, I measured it. And if you look, it actually has the metrics to be done, right? It has the width. And I know that you have some screws in here, but even the screws, you could work around, okay? And it can be done. And as a matter of fact, I opened this up to look inside to see if it was solid or if it was room in there. But, they need to, you can be able to turn your base platform back into its original form. I think that would really add a whole lot of value to its functionality and versatility with the standard barrel. And it perfectly can be done to be able to put in the back of the stock. I'm going to do mine. I'm going to customize mine anyway, but that's something to think about in the next version. All right. So, it is so much to talk about. I'm running out of my breath. Oh, it's one more thing. As far as making this a more robust system, I think this can be aluminum right here. This shell deflector right here, some type of aluminum alloy. And the reason why is, we're men, or you could be a woman just tough right here. And if you drop it, and say for instance you don't have like an optic or something right here, and I could just see this just chipping off and snapping and breaking, if the polymer doesn't hold up. So I think this could be aluminum or aluminum alloy. All these joints could be reinforced, and which segues us into the future of firearms, what I want to talk about. Now, I want you to kind of just imagine, okay, what I'm about to talk about may not ever happen, but let's just entertain, if you will, in an alternate universe where something crazy might happen. You don't know what the future might bring. Like, whoever knew that with AT&T or Time Warner, those two big major companies would merge and stuff, and it kind of changed a lot of things as far as corporate dynamics in America and I guess the world. Meta Tactical, in my opinion, even though, they don't have in my opinion, a finished product. They have a few things to work out. They have a whole lot of potential, almost like a really good basketball player that has a whole lot of raw talent, and he just needs to be coached in the right direction, and he's gonna really make an impact in the NBA or NFL or any type of sports on a professional level. They got something going for themselves. All right, now, excuse me. All right. Now, I know this video is going longer than expected. So you have Meta Tactical. I don't know how long they've been on the scene, but as far as their design engineers, they got something, and what they got is nothing to be laughed at. And I hope that they continue to make products, and this is just not no one and done gimmick. I hope that they can continue to improve and bring out products to the consumers, the gun 2A community, for a long time. Now, you have manufacturers like you got Ruger, Smith & Wesson, Glock. They've been around for a while, and people pretty much know what they're getting when they're getting these quality firearms, because they have continued to consistently give us products over the years, and they have developed trusted names. So, of course, one of the trusted names that I stand by and I believe in, Glock. I feel like that if in an alternate universe, if Glock, their design, research, and engineering team was to get with these Meta Tactical boys, I'm not saying they should bow them out. Although it's on the table, it could be on the table. Let me just tell you a quick story real quick. I know this is off the subject, but I remember back in the day, I used to play football on the, the PlayStation? Yeah, I used to play football on the PlayStation, and, for the longest time, for years, people loved football games, and the football game of choice was John Madden, which I think it still is today. Now, once upon a time, there was another company that made football games that was Madden's competition, and they were continually improving on a game that was, I would say, almost in contention. I'm not going to say it was a better football game than Madden, but they were a contender. And what Madden did, and a lot of people in the community thought they did some underhanded stuff, but it was actually pretty smart. They went and made an exclusive deal with the NFL to where no other football game could use the likenesses of real football players and kind of just destroyed the competition before they, grew up and had legs and actually could knock their butts out. And so to this day, Madden is the biggest football sports game with pretty much nobody in sight to knock them off that mantle. That's just anyway. I don't know why I brought that up. But anyway, what would be the benefit of Glock working with Metatactical? What would be the benefit of Metatactical working with Glock? All right. So the benefits of Metatactical working with Glock, is pretty much obvious. Glock has been around a whole lot longer. They know how to make quality products consistently to where, their slogan is perfection. And we know that Metatactical is certainly not perfection right now. And they could definitely, use some of their expertise in a design aspect. All right. What could Glock use from Metatactical? What Glock could use from Metatactical is they have an interesting platform, and that, of course, one of the biggest. I'm not gonna say that the Apex was designed specifically for the Glock, but they definitely. You can tell that as far as from a product perspective, it's based around Glock because of all the accessories that you can get as far as from the clips, most of their handles. I know that Medical Tactical, whether they want to say it or not, one of their missions is to be a modular platform, right? And who's the most modular platform in the game as far as all the versatility and functions and aftermarket parts that you can get in Glock. And so, what is okay, that's all the basic stuff that they can both use from each other. Well, just imagine, and I'm just gonna spitball and throw some stuff out there. I could see Glock helping Metatactical improve their design, okay, and basically creating a line of super modular products. And I know this is crazy, and I know what they say in the engineering field as far as you'd rather be a master of one thing than a jack of all. Well, let's just entertain the idea that you could get a little bit more versatility out of just one product. Well, what are you talking about? So I got some stuff on the way that I'm gonna do with this, and you're gonna see what I'm talking about. And I really don't want to talk about it until you see it first, because once you see it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. How versatile this platform could be with some improvements and some modifications in certain areas. The implications are out of this world, but I want to show you guys first before I tell you about it, because you won't understand until you see it. So, man, I really appreciate you guys taking the time. Please because I really put a whole lot of thought into this. This is one of the things I do is, like I said, I got a background in engineering, and I understand gunsmithing. I don't got no license, but I understand the mechanics of firearms. I've tinkered with stuff my whole life, and this is therapy for me. So I put a whole lot into these, into thinking about the design of things, and the stuff that I have in mind are just out of this world. I really like a whole lot of stuff. And in my next video, you're gonna see just how creative you can get with a platform like this. But anyway, that's for later. Make sure you give me a like and stay tuned for the future. This is about to go crazy.